There's a reason you feel like something deep inside you is asleep. You know it, don't you? That sense that you were meant for more, that you're carrying a brilliance, a light, a power that somehow never fully rises to the surface. You've glimpsed it in moments of deep clarity, in dreams, in those sudden rushes of purpose and vision. But then, just as quickly, it fades, and what's left is confusion, heaviness, numbness. You start to wonder, is it me? Am I broken? Lazy? Undisciplined? But what if I told you it's none of that? What if I told you your true power is being blocked, not by who you are, but by what has attached itself to you? You see, we live in a world that has forgotten the ancient truth. Energy is real. Energy shapes everything. And not all energy is light. There are dark forces, subtle yet persistent, that feed off your fear, your doubt, your unconscious habits. These aren't red-skinned, horned creatures hiding in shadows. These are demonic energies, and they are far more cunning than we've been told. They embed themselves not in haunted houses or rituals, but in your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotional wounds. They whisper in the voice of your inner critic. They masquerade as logic, as realism, even as protection. And the most dangerous part, you don't even realize they're there. But if you've ever felt like you're constantly taking one step forward and two steps back, if you've ever had a dream so vivid it made your soul ache, only to watch yourself self-sabotage again and again, if you've ever felt like your light threatens to explode but something invisible keeps dimming it, then you, my friend, are already in a battle with these energies. And it's time we name them. Because when you name a demon, you take back your power. The first demonic energy is self-doubt. Not the healthy kind that leads to humility or learning, but the parasitic kind, the one that was implanted in you when you were too young to defend yourself. Maybe it came from a parent who never believed in you, a teacher who humiliated you, a culture that conditioned you to play small. Self-doubt doesn't just question your decisions, it questions your very essence. It whispers, you're not enough. You never will be. And the more you listen, the more it becomes your inner voice. But here's the truth. Self-doubt is not your voice. It's a voice that was installed into your psyche like malware. And you've been running your whole life on corrupted programming. Can you feel that? Now, the second energy is shame. Shame is deeper than guilt. Guilt says, I made a mistake. Shame says, I am the mistake. Shame is ancient. It lives in your body like a ghost. It keeps you from speaking your truth, from embracing your desires, from standing in your power. It tells you to hide, to shrink, to apologize for existing. And the twisted thing? Shame often disguises itself as humility. But let's be clear, shame is not humility. Shame is spiritual poison. And it's fed every time you betray yourself to please others. Every time you silence your truth to avoid rejection. Shame is what keeps your soul in chains while you smile on the outside. Then there's the third energy, fear of judgment. This one is like a chokehold around your throat. It keeps you from expressing, from creating, from leading. You imagine what people will say, their mockery, their disapproval, their gossip, and so you stay silent, invisible. But ask yourself this, who are you living for? Are you here to be liked or to be free? The fear of judgment is a soul killer because it teaches you to outsource your identity. You become a mirror, reflecting what others want to see, instead of a flame burning with your own essence. But you were not born to be a reflection. You were born to be a fire. And then comes the fourth, addiction to comfort. This one is sneaky. It doesn't feel dark at first. It feels safe, familiar. Scrolling, numbing, procrastinating, overeating, avoiding. You trade your purpose for pleasure, your power for safety. But comfort is a cage that looks like a bed. It tells you, don't risk, don't leap, don't try, it's too hard. And so you stay. You stay in environments that drain you, relationships that shrink you, habits that dull you, until one day you wake up and realize your potential never got to breathe. That's the tragedy comfort creates. Not pain, but mediocrity. And make no mistake, mediocrity is the slow death of the soul. Now let me ask you something real, and I want you to pause and feel this. What is the one thing you know you are meant to do in this lifetime, but you've been avoiding? Not because you're lazy, not because you're not capable, but because these energies, these invisible parasites, have convinced you it's not possible. That question, if you sit with it long enough, will reveal your next spiritual battle. Here's the truth. These demonic energies are not external enemies. They're internal saboteurs. But they didn't start with you. Some were inherited through trauma. Some were absorbed from your environment. Some were created by unhealed pain. But now they live inside your energetic field, shaping your decisions, your relationships, your destiny. And until you confront them, you'll keep wondering why your life feels like a shadow of what it's meant to be. But here's the radical truth. You are more powerful than any of these energies. Not because of your intellect, not because of your willpower, but because your soul is ancient. Your light is older than your fear. And when you choose to truly see what's been holding you back, you begin to break the spell. Awareness is exorcism. Recognition is liberation. Every time you name the energy, you weaken its grip. Every time you act from your truth instead of your fear, you reclaim a piece of your power. This is not about perfection. This is about awakening. This is about becoming a conscious warrior of your own energy. Because once you awaken, you can never again be controlled by what you now see clearly. Say this with me in your heart. I am reclaiming what was always mine. I am not my fear. I am not my shame. I am not the voice that tells me I'm not enough. I am a vessel of power waiting to be remembered.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
You see, when most people think of possession, they imagine something theatrical, eyes rolling back, voices changing, bodies convulsing. But the most dangerous kind of possession doesn't look like a horror film. It looks like your everyday thoughts. It sounds like your internal dialogue. It feels like your natural, unquestioned beliefs. That's how deeply these demonic energies operate. They don't need to scream. They whisper. They don't attack from outside. They install themselves in your mind and begin to speak in your voice. They don't possess your body. They possess your perception. And here's the terrifying part. You believe them. You believe the voice that says, you're not creative. You believe the story that says, you'll never be truly loved. You believe the thought that says, you're too late to change. But those aren't your thoughts. They're programs. Viral codes injected into your consciousness through childhood trauma, societal conditioning, ancestral pain, and energetic exposure. You didn't choose them, but if you never question them, you'll live a life they chose for you. This is the fifth demonic energy, false identity. It's not just a lie, it's a full identity construct built on half-truths and survival mechanisms. It's the version of you that was created to stay safe, to be accepted, to avoid rejection. It's the mask you wear so convincingly that you forget it's not you. And here's how you know this energy is active. Your life feels small, but you can't explain why. You feel disconnected from joy, but you function just fine. You're successful on paper, but empty inside. That's the weight of a false self. It's heavy, even if it looks polished. But if you want to reclaim your true power, you have to be willing to destroy that false identity. You have to risk not knowing who you are for a while. You have to let go of the story that comforted you but caged you. The truth is, identity isn't fixed, it's fluid, it's sacred, and it's meant to evolve. But demonic energies don't want you to evolve. They want you to stay frozen in a version of yourself that's easy to control. And that leads us to the sixth energy, mental overload and confusion. This energy thrives in the noise. It clouds your inner knowing with a constant stream of distraction, doubt and data. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to sit still with your own thoughts? How quickly you reach for your phone, for music, for something, anything to fill the silence? That's not just modern life. That's a systemic spiritual attack. Because silence is where your soul speaks. And if you can't hear your soul, you can't follow your path. Mental confusion is a weapon. It keeps you spinning in circles, overanalyzing, second-guessing, researching, planning, but never acting. It convinces you that you need more clarity before you see, before you move, more certainty before you begin. But clarity doesn't come before the leap. Clarity comes as a reward for courage, and these energies know that. That's why they keep you stuck in your head, disconnected from your heart, afraid of your own intuition. Let me ask you something radical. When was the last time you trusted your inner voice without needing external validation? When was the last time you made a choice that felt right in your body, even if it made no sense to your mind? That's the kind of power these energies fear. Because it's in those moments that you break their spell. It's in those moments you reconnect with your divine compass. And the final energy for this part is perhaps the most sinister, energetic parasitism. This is when your field is being drained by forces you can't see. You feel fatigue that doesn't match your schedule. You feel heaviness after being around certain people. You experience sudden waves of hopelessness that seem to come out of nowhere. That's not random. That's energetic interference. Parasitic energies feed on your light. They attach to unresolved trauma, to emotional wounds that haven't been fully processed. They feed on your fear, your insecurity, your self-abandonment. And you don't have to be in a haunted house or dabble in the occult to attract them. All it takes is unconsciousness. All it takes is leaving your energy unguarded, your aura open, your boundaries weak. But here's the truth. You are not helpless. Once you become aware of these hijackers, you can take your mind back. You can reclaim your throne. You can clean your mental temple and declare, no more. You can begin to question every thought that feels heavy, every belief that dims your light. You can start to watch your mind like a sacred gatekeeper, separating truth from illusion, soul from sabotage. This is not a casual practice. It's a spiritual discipline. It's a daily devotion. But the reward is everything. You begin to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. You begin to recognize the purity of your own being. You begin to feel the fire of your real self rising again. So I'll ask you this. Whose voice is living in your head right now, and does it serve your highest good? Because if it doesn't, it's time to evict it. It's time to cleanse the temple. It's time to remember your mind is not a battlefield, it's a sacred altar. And only truth belongs there. Here's the hardest truth to swallow on this entire journey. Sometimes the very thing keeping you stuck is you. Not because you're bad, not because you're unworthy, but because somewhere along the line you made a silent agreement with your pain. You struck a deal with the darkness. And now, without even realizing it, you're protecting the very energies that are draining your power. This is the shadow pact. The hidden contract between you and the forces you think you want to escape. And until you see it, name it, and break it, you will keep feeding the very thing that is feeding off you. You might say, but why would I ever choose to stay stuck? The answer is layered. It's not because you consciously love suffering. It's because at some point the suffering became familiar. It became safer than the unknown. It became your identity. You learned how to function within it. You learned how to gain sympathy from it. You even learned how to gain a sense of control from it. And so you stayed. You kept repeating the same cycles, not because you were weak, but because a part of you believed it was safer to stay broken than to risk being whole. This is the psychological prison most people live in. The bars aren't made of steel, they're made of beliefs. This is just who I am. People like me don't get that kind of life. If I heal, I'll lose the people who love the broken version of me. These are the lies that form the foundation of the shadow pact. And here's what makes it demonic. It operates in the dark. It thrives in your blind spots. It convinces you that your trauma is your personality, that your wounds are your identity, that your pain is your truth. And as long as you believe that, you'll defend your suffering like it's sacred. You'll protect the very chains you're meant to break. Think about this. How many times have you been given an opportunity to rise and you turned it down, not because you couldn't, but because some part of you said, "I'm not ready"? Who taught you that you had to wait for permission to be powerful? Who convinced you that healing was something you had to earn? That joy was something you had to deserve. That peace had to be postponed until you fixed everything. These are the illusions the shadow pact feeds you. And you believe them because they're comfortable, because they give you a false sense of control in a chaotic world. But the cost is enormous. Every time you choose familiarity over freedom, you lose a piece of your soul. Every time you defend your limitations, you delay your liberation. Every time you replay the same story of why you can't, you reinforce the spell that keeps you asleep. And the truth is, the darkness you're fighting isn't out there. It's in the story you keep telling yourself. It's in the identity you're afraid to outgrow. It's in the comfort you mistake for peace. So let me ask you something that might sting but could also set you free. What part of your suffering are you still secretly attached to? Be honest. Is it the attention it gets you, the excuse it gives you, the way it keeps you from having to take full responsibility? This question isn't here to shame you. It's here to expose the pact. Because once you name it, you can break it. You can choose a new story. You can step out of the victim role and into the role of creator. And that's when the demonic energies start to lose their grip. Because they don't fear power. They fear ownership. They fear awareness. They fear the moment you say, "I see you. I no longer serve you. I choose something higher." And here's where it gets even more powerful. When you break your own pact with darkness, you give others permission to do the same. You become a living transmission of what's possible. You stop preaching healing and start embodying it. You stop talking about light and start radiating it. You become a lighthouse in a world addicted to shadows. And people feel that. They're drawn to it. Because deep down, everyone wants to be free. They're just waiting for someone to show them how. But you can't show the way until you walk it. You can't guide others into the light if you're still guarding the door to your own dungeon. And that's what this part of the journey is about. Not just recognizing the demonic energies, but recognizing your role in keeping them alive, and then choosing with your whole being to stop. So here's your invitation. Write a new soul contract. One that's not based in fear, but in freedom. One that's not rooted in survival, but in sovereignty. One that says, "I no longer feed what drains me. I no longer protect what breaks me. I no longer wear the mask of my pain. I am here to rise. I am here to remember. I am here to reclaim." And if that scares you, good. That means you're close. That means the pact is trembling. That means the old self is dying, and the true self is waking up. Now that we've exposed the 7 demonic energies that have been secretly feeding on your light, self-doubt, shame, fear of judgment, addiction to comfort, false identity, mental confusion, and the shadow pact, the question becomes, what now? How do you reclaim your power in a way that lasts? Because the truth is, awareness alone is not enough. Recognition is the doorway, yes, but integration is the journey. This is the final exorcism. And it doesn't require smoke, chants, or rituals. It requires a radical, embodied decision to no longer allow anything unworthy of your soul to remain in your field. Not as thought, not as behavior, not as identity. The first step in reclaiming your power is to take full energetic ownership of your life. That means no more outsourcing your authority to fear, to other people's opinions, or to your past. You stop waiting for someone to save you. You stop blaming your circumstances. You stop spiritual bypassing with affirmations you don't believe. You look in the mirror and say, "If I ever gave away my power, I'm calling it back now." You say it out loud. You say it until your bones remember. You say it until the energy shifts. You must begin a sacred practice of energetic hygiene. Just like you shower your body, you need to cleanse your field. Every day, not just when you feel bad, because these energies are subtle. They creep in through your phone, your conversations, your thoughts, your habits. So you ground yourself, you breathe deeply, you sit in stillness, you scan your body for tension. You ask, is this mine? And if it's not, you release it. You visualize light flooding your body, washing through every cell, pushing out anything that doesn't belong. You don't need to know the exact name of the energy to remove it. You just need to remember that your consciousness is the most powerful force in your reality. The next step is truth-telling, radical, soul-level honesty. No more pretending, no more performance. You speak what's been buried. You admit what you've been running from. You confess what scares you, because truth is a sword, it cuts through illusion. Demonic energies cannot survive in truth. They can only hide in silence. That's why your healing accelerates the moment you start telling the truth, especially to yourself. Then you must seal your field. This is how you stop the cycle of energetic invasion. You create boundaries, not just with people, with energies, with thoughts, with environments. You say, this vibration is not welcome in my space. You say it with your energy, your choices, your standards. You stop engaging in conversations that drain you. You stop watching media that programs you with fear. You stop allowing guilt to manipulate your yes when your soul is screaming no. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to justify your boundaries. You just hold them like sacred fire. And finally, you anchor into your true power, the power that was never gone, only forgotten. You begin to choose from alignment, not fear. You take bold, soul-aligned action even when your knees shake. You speak your truth even when your voice trembles. You move forward even when you don't have all the answers. Because this is what real power looks like. It's not about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. It's about living in such deep integrity with your soul that anything out of alignment cannot stay near you. Let me ask you this. What would your life look like if you were no longer negotiating with your fear? If you stopped asking for permission to be great? If you stopped diluting your truth to make others comfortable? That version of you already exists. Not in some distant future, but right now, vibrating just beneath the surface of your current self. All it takes is one decision, one breath, one moment of saying, I remember who I am. This final exorcism isn't about fighting the darkness. It's about becoming so full of light, so anchored in truth, so grounded in your divine identity that the darkness has nowhere left to hide. You become the kind of person these energies can't touch. Not because you're perfect, but because you're conscious. You're awake. You're sovereign. So if you've been waiting for a sign, for a ritual, for a green light from the universe, this is it. You've done the work. You've faced the shadows. You've heard the voice of your soul in the silence. Now reclaim your life. Speak your power. Walk like you belong here, because you do. And let every step you take from this moment forward be a declaration. I am free. I am whole. I am home. The final exorcism is not an ending. It is a beginning. The beginning of your true life. The one you came here to live. Now go live it.